Kid Hardy and Michael Ford are coming. Ellen Wilkinson, the red flag, she is humming. We get around not as much as Dominic Cummings, even though he's driving blind. We are the Labour Grassroots, where like-minded folk dwell. From countryside to city, it's warm and it's witty, the antidote to Priti Patel. We are the Labour Grassroots, time to raise a racket. The future is as bright as Crispin's red jacket. This is the space where we all go hell for leather, free from all the biased BBC blether. Like track and trace, we're better together. Just ask Carrie and Meg. Yeah, we got all the people from Inverness, Skegness, Barrow, Inverness, Chester, Leicester, Cirencester, Shrewsbury, Oswald Street, Swansea, Bernackley, Barnsley, Beccles, Nottingham and Eccles. We are the Labour Grassroots, time to plant some grass. Where we've always had social distancing between us and the upper class.
Across the country, ordinary members and socialists are being unjustly suspended by Labour Party staff simply for standing up for the democratic rights of local parties to organise and debate freely. So when I found out that I had been suspended by the Labour Party with no evidence, it felt like a punch in the guts. It's not easy to feel like you're being driven out of a party you've given so much to, and it's easy to want to give up, but I don't want to give up. There's too much at stake to leave this fight behind and let the Tories off the hook. I want to get organised with other wrongly suspended members and with the thousands of socialists who oppose the crackdown of Labour Party members. And I want to say firmly and politely that Mr. David Evans, you will not drive socialists out of the Labour Party. We're here to stay.
Welcome to Labour Grassroots for this special edition, emergency show. It's the after party for the David Evans Zoom. We've got people coming in who've been on that Zoom with David Evans, and we'll be hearing from them shortly when they've recovered from their experience. But first, I'm going to speak to Alan, who you just saw in that video, who was suspended or found out that he was suspended yesterday. Alan, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Well, you were. There was no explanation at all for your being suspended. You were just sent an email. Is that right?
Yeah. I got in from. We've got this food hub, where people get food subsidised by a food charity, and opened up my emails, and the chair of my CLP had sent it to me before I saw it myself. And it's just one of these, chapter 2, section 1, subsection 8, you are administratively suspended, off your pop. And the one thing I like, it puts in advice to get in touch with the Samaritans if you're feeling a bit vulnerable. Well, don't make me vulnerable in the first place. And then the other thing it says is we want you to keep this quiet. So they want to suspend you and then accede to your own kind of oppression by keeping stum. Well, sorry, I'm not. You haven't told me why I'm suspended. This is a totally ludicrous way of approaching a disciplinary process. I'm on the end of a phone. I have been helping to deliver the safest seat in the United Kingdom for the last 4 years of Labour Party membership, 84.7%. Our brick in the red wall didn't fall. And you expect me to be quiet? Sorry. And I'm part of a community of suspended members. There's no I in this, there's we. We don't all have different little reasons why we're being suspended. We are being suspended globally because we dared to show solidarity for Jeremy, for comrades suspended in Bristol West, for comrades suspended in Bristol North East, for Naomi Idrissi Wimborne, for Moshe Maccabee. You keep listing the names. we are not going to be quiet. We are a community of socialists and we stand in solidarity. That's the nature of our movement.
And you've had lots of messages, I've noticed on social media, lots of messages of solidarity, which seems to be the buzzword. Now, we've picked up more solidarity in the last few weeks than I've ever encountered in the Labour Party. Was it just because you think you just had a motion, you said that you had solidarity with Jeremy, or that was that what your CLP passed or something?
I don't, do you know what? Whenever little bits, I don't know about it exactly, but little bits of history begin to change, sometimes like a chemical change begins to occur and it takes time. And I think it started with Jeremy's suspension, but actually I noticed there was a feeling to me of a bit of a sea change when Naomi wouldn't be quiet and did the interview on Navarra. And then I think because a few of us are reasonably well known, then people sort of think, hang on a minute, it's a bit like you've been retreating for months. And then for some reason, you just stick your foot on the ground, and you start to skid and you leave a mark on the pavement. You say, I'm sorry, but sometime it's got to stop. And a lot of people are starting to talk. And I mean, there's one thing I'm proud of in the northwest of England. I grew up in Crewe. It's a god-awful bloody place. I was so glad to move to Liverpool. But one thing for the whole of the northwest, we won't shut up. And it's true of that Jewish socialist culture. I felt so at home when I was down in the East End of London. There's something about all these communities, that are trodden on, that just say, sod it. There's a universal response of sod it. We're going to stand up. We don't give a damn about the consequences, because it's not about us. It's about us trying to champion the collective oppression of people out there. Ours is the most deprived constituency out of 533 English constituencies. It's not about us. It's about a transformative Labour government that can say that food poverty is a crime, that evictions are unacceptable in the 6th richest country in the world, that being silent about Palestine, it's not acceptable to be quiet about the longest running human rights abuse, probably since the Second World War. And from that domestic socialism in your community to two comrades up the road in the next street, we got tons of Labour Party members around. They brought a red rose round to me tonight. From that little gem through to the internationalism. And when people say, be quiet or be scared, I'm not being scared of David Evans. Comrades in Bolivia and Chile are not facing, a jumped up Josif Vissarionovich Dugashvili. They are, facing guns. They are facing barbed wire. They are facing oppression. We have no right to take a step back when we've got very little to lose.
Yeah, and the other thing, like you said, there's a sort of, suspending you when you've done so much work for your constituency, and as you say, helping out during the coronavirus situation, and the party's sending out these emails saying, what are your local heroes doing during the pandemic? And you are one of those local heroes, and to think that they've suspended you with no explanation is just not looking good for the Labour Party. The Labour Party does not look like the kind of party that people would want to vote for in that situation.
Can I just say one little thing, Crispin? Yeah. We're all flawed human beings. I have got, lousy things about me, like every single one of us does, but it's political. It is absolute political, because the red wall fell because our party wasn't rooted in communities. People were cynical about our party. The way you're not cynical, when we talk to 400 families and they're having their weekly shop subsidised in solidarity, and you're fighting food poverty, you don't have to sell the Labour message. The Labour message seeps into their skin. That's what we've got to be doing as a party. not trying to triangulate to Tories, not Angela Rayner praising Carrie Simons, for God's sake. The people we should be talking to is the working class people in our communities. And if you're not rooted there, don't knock on the door 6 months later and ask for support when you weren't there for them when they needed you. That's what socialism is about. Sorry, I went on a bit.
No, it's fine. No, look, thank you so much for coming on. And, you know, I've seen lots of messages of solidarity with you on this chat as well. So we're right behind you. And, you know, it's terrible that you have been suspended, and the way they did it, it's just unforgivable in a way. But I'm going to move on just to show that it's not you alone that's facing this. So you're not isolated in that way. Esther in Bristol, are you there?
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
I can, yeah. No, you've been suspended as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I was suspended some time ago.
Oh, right. So you're cooler than Alan then, yeah?
Yeah, but they're still using the same letters. We're comparing notes on the suspension letters that we get, and the wording is practically identical with the substitution of a name every now and then. So this is a standard template that's being used just to quash dissent.
Oh man! And what was your reason for? Did they give a reason?
So no, they didn't give a reason at all. Just a breach. Just that they had been informed that we had the chairs had the same letter as I did, and is on this call actually. Is that we were guilty potentially of a breach of the rule book, and that was it. No evidence provided whatsoever.
Wow.
And this is quite normal.
And you've decided to do something about this whole situation of your own. Obviously,
yes.
you were very active standing for the NEC as the treasurer, to be treasurer, and being secretary. And now you've had that taken away from you, so obviously you've got all this energy that you can spend on something else. So,
I'm twiddling my thumbs. Yeah.
What have you decided to do now?
Yeah. So because of the suspension of the chair and the secretary, and because we very sadly lost our vice chair membership last year, we have no means whatsoever of communicating with members. The MP made it very clear last year that he didn't want the current chair and myself as secretary, and that he wanted to replace us with others at the next AGM. As a result of the suspensions, somebody who's very close to the MP is being given the contact details for members, and has told them that there will be no further meetings until the AGM. So this is a coup. There is no doubt that this is a coup. So what we are doing, because we cannot contact members, is we're just pulling together as much data as we can within the rules and within the law, using our personal contacts to see if we can arrange meetings with as many members as possible to progress local issues. So there's an example locally in Avonmouth of an explosion that resulted in deaths. This is in our CLP. We want to be discussing this in motions. We want to be asking the City Council. We want to be asking the MP to take action. So there is important business that we need to discuss, and we want to get as many members together as possible to discuss it.
Right, yeah, and that's another issue, isn't it? Where they have taken the email access away from secretaries. So effectively, CLPs, local constituencies, are not able to function because you can't mobilise anyone to do anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is, you know, again, during this time of the pandemic, it's kind of inexcusable that they would do that for nothing more than a political motive.
Yeah, really. I mean the other thing to say is that my name is still on everybody's membership card, and everybody still has my email, so members are still contacting me, and new cards that are being issued still have my name and contact details on them. I'm still getting all the CLP secretary and the CLP the CLP chairs getting all the same emails as they had before, so the business is continuing, but we're just not allowed to do anything with it.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, Esther. Good to see you again.
Solidarity.
I'm going to bring in a regular from our show who often does the newspapers. In fact, does them every week. He's been suspended a few times and has some experience of this. Just find out what's your advice, John, for people who've been. John Dunn, what's your advice for people who've been suspended?
You've got to fight them and not play by their rules. I'm not going to let some shiny suited, pointed-chewed idiot who's wet behind the ears, who gets a handsome salary from our subs. I'm not going to let them judge me. I've got a 49-year record of activity that I'm proud of, and it'll be my comrades that judge me, not them. I'm in the process. This is the 7th time in 4 years I've had to account for myself to these scabs. I'm trying not to swear, to be honest, because 4-letter words don't do these people justice. You know, they're the scum of the earth. These are the people that are bullying us from behind their desks. People who don't know, you know, people like Alan, who I know very well. And Alan, you've got my solidarity and everybody else who's been suspended. But these people, you know, when there's a picket line in your area and you're on it, you know, at 5 o'clock in the morning, you'll not see these scum. You know, they've not been helping Alan in his food banks and things like this. If the National Front, the BNP, whoever, any fascists invade your high street, these people won't be there defending your community. All they are doing is defending their right to cream off your subs in the form of salaries and defend the people who defend the status quo. So I'm in the process of replying. You know, they sent me my email at 19 minutes to 11 at night. So these people are putting in the hours, scrolling through our Facebook pages, finding reasons to suspend us, but they don't put the hours in, pounding the streets and things like that. So I'm going to send them back a simple 2-word response. The second word will be you. The first word has got 4 letters, and I'll let you fill in the permutations of that. I am not going to let this sort of scum judge me, and we shouldn't let them stand passing almost sentences of death upon us without their... As referring me to Samaritans, when I've done with these people, it'll be them that's needing Samaritans, and that's not. I'm not threatening physical violence. I'm a bit too old for that now. But they're going to pay the price for this. They've lost us a general election. They're trying to lose us our socialist heart. And as far as John Dunn's concerned, they're not going to get away with it.
Well, I didn't expect you to sit on the fence with this one, John. Great to see you, and solidarity with you as well. I'm going to bring in another suspended member. This is the suspended show. We've got Christine in South Thanet. Are you there, Christine?
Hello, can you hear me?
I am, yes. Now, you were suspended for a terrible act of wishing Chris Williamson good luck in the last election.
Yeah, that was it. 2 words.
That literally, good luck. Yeah. Right.
Well, actually, I said, good luck from South Thanet. We have had our problems. That's right. It.
And what did they send? Did they? How long did it take for them to get to you and tell you to that you had to phone the Samaritans?
I had a warning back in June. I was suspended in July, and then they mentioned the Samaritans, and I was expelled in October, late October.
You're expelled now? I'm
expelled.
Yeah. So you got suspended, and then they expelled you for the
Chris Williamson.
For one message of support.
1 message, 2 words, and I'm expelled. Yeah, it's quite shocking, really. I was the secretary at South Thanet, and I have to say, Don't tell anybody, but I just snuck into the David Evans meeting. So that's how good their systems are. They don't know I've been expelled. I was there listening. I did try and put a question, but they disabled the chat function on the meeting, just as I was about to say, what are you doing about the purge and how do you feel about being the purge master? I put my hand up, but they didn't call me or anything. So, but it was quite interesting being there because they're obviously ignoring the elephant in the room. You know, they're talking about how fast they can get emails out to members and all the admin kind of things. And there were some sycophants on the chat function who were saying, oh, I think it's wonderful the way you've advised us about how to deal with things. But the elephant in the room is that they're purging people all over the country. They're suspending them, they're kicking them out. They suspended my partner, Norman Thomas, who's also here. He's chair of South Thanet. He was suspended yesterday and they didn't give a reason. Nothing.
He didn't get a reason either.
Sorry?
He didn't get a reason either.
Here he is.
Yes, here I am.
It's good we've got two in the room. We've got one expelled and one suspended. So it's it's like,
we are
it's like after and before.
They basically said they'll get back to me with a reason. They haven't given me a specific reason yet. They said governance and legal will take a little while to work it out, and then they'll come back to me.
They'll get back to you, yeah.
So they're obviously targeting people and then finding reasons to do for them. Right.
So tell us a bit about the meeting, because that's partly why we're here for this party, this after party, because we want to hear how he's opened up. David Evans has opened up the discussion so we can. It's more clear. There's more clarification about what's acceptable to speak about and what isn't. Did he really open up on that?
He didn't say much about any of it really. It was very, very controlled. There's nothing much to say. He's in charge of a very powerful organisation, which is the Labour Party bureaucracy, and is he up to it? You know, is he being put there to put this purge through? I don't know. I'm totally puzzled by it all. Norman was listening as well. Perhaps he's got something to add.
Well, yes, I did hear it all. Which not only am I not a secretary, I'm not an expelled secretary. I'm not a secretary whatsoever. I was just eavesdropping, but he was very, very slow. Basically, what he said about the kind of reasons for stopping people speaking, etc. He just parroted out what he's already emailed to people, and I received the email that he basically says because we mustn't upset any of the Jewish community. How he knows what the whole Jewish community is likely to be upset by, you know, heaven only knows. And I think many people have pointed out it's a deeply racist thing to say that, you know, all Jews are going to be upset by a particular issue. In fact, the people in our constituency who raised the matter, who wanted to put a motion through in support of Jeremy Corbyn, the three Jewish members of our CLP who were there all spoke in favor of it, and it was moved by a Jewish member. So it just completely gives the lie to everything that David Evans was saying tonight on the Zoom meeting. And he talks very, very slowly and ums and ahs, and he's a deeply unimpressive person, but he is a purge master. I'll pass you back to Christy.
All right.
Very guilty, actually, criticising him for personal things.
Yeah, well, it doesn't. It's something that will be attacked, isn't it? If we do that. So, I mean, I just really wanted to hear what he'd said, and if he didn't say anything about those, like you say, it's like the elephant in the room. He just didn't want to talk about it, you know. Well,
there was one secretary actually who came on to ask a question. You put a question in advance, and she said, "I'm from so and so. I was suspended yesterday." She asked a question. Nobody mentioned that she was suspended. I mean, weird.
Surrealistic.
Surreal.
Okay. Well, look, I'm going to move to somebody else who was in that meeting to hear what their interpretation of it was. I'm sure it'll be the same. Stan.
Yes, Crispin.
Did you manage to log into the Zoom?
Yes, I did. I was there, and I'm happy that Christine was there as well because I felt very alone. because, like Christine said, he spoke for about 5 minutes and just regurgitated the emails that he'd sent out. Said nothing much more than that. And I did monitor the chat box. As soon as someone mentioned the divisiveness in the party, the chat box was closed, which was probably just before Christine tried to come in on it. And quite frankly, at 8 o'clock, I set my alarm for 8:30 so I wouldn't miss this meeting, because it was absolutely boring. It was Orwellian. It was obviously stage managed. The Zoom itself was very limited as a webinar. I couldn't see how many participants there were, couldn't see any faces, just the speaker. And I think, as Norman described, that was the first time I've seen David Evans. And he's very fidgety, very ums and ahs, and a very poor speaker. I think very out of his depth. And some of the things I noted, that he's aware that the problems that his emails created, but the party broke the law, and so our rights have to come, are subordinate to that until we can make Jewish people specifically, he said, comfortable in the party. And like I said, the elephant in the room was never mentioned. I noted some things that some of these secretaries said. Oh, like I said, I'm glad Christine was there because I felt lonely. They were sycophants, you know. The comments were how much assistance they got from David's emails. It helped them a great deal, you know, which I just don't understand that at all. But some of the secretaries mentioned getting bullied and abused, and they want protection from that, from our own membership. You know, what kind of secretary needs protection from their own members? You know? So I was totally underwhelmed and bored stiff. But I think I predicted that to you in the chat we had earlier.
Well, yeah. I mean, I hope that you weren't going in with a prejudice before you went in there. That's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. You should have open love for the General Secretary, expecting the best at all times.
I think Christine's corroborated my opinions anyway of it, so it's not just me.
Well,
but yeah, it was.
Thank you.
Sorry, go on.
No, I'll just thank you for coming on and speaking. I know I've actually heard. You see, this is the other thing about this. Alan being suspended, Jeremy Corbyn being suspended. I suppose that's pretty big. As you go, if someone's the leader of the party and you suspend them within months of them being leader, I think that's pretty shocking. But lots of people are scared to speak out about what's going on, and there were people I contacted about the Zoom with David Evans who thought that they could be suspended for even speaking about what they heard in the meeting. I mean, that is a terrible, just a portrait of the Labour Party, that people are scared to say what they heard in a meeting or to report what they heard in a meeting. It's not worth being in a party like that, is it, really?
Well, that's a very fair point. I'm still a serving secretary. I've not been suspended yet, and I'd like to express solidarity with those that have. But I don't know why that is, because our constituency, we do discuss it, and we have passed motions that could have got us suspended, but I haven't been. I am also a candidate in the local elections next year. One theory is that Starmer needs to win those elections, and maybe that's one of the reasons. You know, he's not going to suspend candidates, but I'm not sure. But we've tried to find creative responses to dance around. That's my version of it, to dance around these emails. But how long are you going to dance around the problem? I think it's going to get to the point that if you're still in the Labour Party, you must be right wing. I think that's because it is a purge. It definitely is, and we have to stand up against it. I'm fully in agreement with what John Dunn says. I'm a big admirer of John. I listen to him every Sunday. And I think it's just a question for people like me in the party, how much time before, how can I survive before I get suspended? Will I make it to the next elections? I don't know. But I'm certainly not going to be quiet. You know, you said I could come in a disguise if I wanted tonight, or talk in a squeaky voice. My wife offered to give me a squeaky voice, but I declined the offer. And I don't have any dark glasses, and I wouldn't do that anyway. You know, I am me. I'm here in front of everybody, and I say what I think. And if that gets me suspended, well, so be it.
Right. Well, thank you for coming on without the squeaky voice, because it's much easier to hear you and understand you. I'm going to bring in somebody else who I think was at the meeting, but I'm not sure. Mark.
Hi, yeah, hello. Can you see me?
Mark, were you at the meeting?
No, I got home late from work and I dipped in, but I'm afraid it was so boring. I came out again. It became frustrating. I have to say that I didn't expect much from it anyway. So I dipped in and then came out. I was, as I said, I'd come in from work, so I wanted to get ready so I could speak to you. And there's a few things I do want to say, if I can, which shouldn't take too long.
Sure. I mean, I know that you take your time a little bit, but I'll let you off this time.
All right, then. Okay. Listen, here's the thing. The fact is that the General Secretary does not care about us. All right, does not care about the left. Does not care about issues in relation to suspending us and suspending chairs. Many CLPs out there support the General Secretary. We are in the minority. So the question is, what are we going to do about it? How are we going to tackle this issue? Because quite frankly, Leadership Office and General Secretary would be quite pleased to get rid of us, right? And suspend us all and just get rid of us. So the way I think about it is, now if maybe I'm going to be suspended for just saying that, I don't know, but the way I think about it is right now we need to start thinking about getting organised. You know, I was thinking today, when was the last time we had a trigger ballot system for our MPs? Not since 2015, I think, before Jeremy Corbyn took over. All that time, because we had two successive general elections, quick general elections, we as a constituency have not had the opportunity to start trigger balloting our MPs. We need to start thinking about our AGMs that are coming up. We need to start making sure that we've got a slate of 14, 15 people on the left that we can go forward. We need to make sure we get left candidates for local elections, make sure we get more left MPs, and we need to start thinking about trigger balloting. We need to start getting organised. Now, I know that's all very well when great people like Alan and John Dunn here have been suspended. We need to fight and we stand in solidarity with them. We'll do everything we possibly can to make sure they're back in the party. I'm not too sure if John Dunn's reaction or letter in reply is going to assist him in that front. I don't know, but I stand shoulder to shoulder with him as a great comrade. But nevertheless, we need to get organised and we need to remember and we need to acknowledge that they do not care about us. They're happy to get rid of us. And they will suspend and they will expel as quick as a flash if they have got a reason to do it. So we can't give them a reason to do it. We simply can't. And we have to get organised within our executive and our AGM and get the candidates and get the MPs and find a candidate on the left who can stand as a leader of our party. That's what we need to be doing. We need to organise and don't give them excuses to suspend or expel us. Right. Easier said than done, I know.
Okay, well, look, I've just noticed that John McDonnell's on the call because I was looking for John, but he's under McDonnell, so I kind of missed he was there. I think he's not on for long, so.
No, go to him. He's much more important.
I'll just yeah. Well, I'm not saying anyone.
Well, no, he is. No, he is.
John, are you there?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't see you there for a while.
It doesn't matter. No, I've been doing a whole series of other meetings because everything's kicking off in terms of industrial activity and as well as campaigning. But I heard I came on just at the end of Alan Gibbons speaking, so I heard others as well. Let me just explain what I think is happening and what we need to do. I got a phone call from my cousin up in, I got a WhatsApp first of all from my cousin up in Liverpool, telling me that Alan had been suspended. I think she'd been only talking to Alan the previous day. And I was staggered. I think most people in Liverpool are, because people need to understand Alan's reputation up there in terms of the work that he does on the ground, both in terms of community support, but also the political work that he does in terms of, I suppose, mobilizing. That's his forte, mobilizing people, as he did when the fascists came to Liverpool. And whether people agree or disagree with Alan, they respect him. That's what, that's the standing that he has. So when I heard that he'd been suspended, I just thought it was incredible. As you know, he's associated with Dan Carden as well, one of the best new Labour MPs new Left MPs that we've got in Parliament now. So it's shocking overall. And then you discover not only has he been suspended, but he doesn't even know what he's been suspended for. It's Kafkaesque, it really is. This is extraordinary. And I spoke to others as well, and we've got to the situation now where this is a fight for democracy within our party. Now, at the campaign group meeting this evening, it's interesting, Diane Abbott said, even under New Labour, we never had this scale of suspensions. Even under Tony Blair, we did not have this sort of suspension process going on a scale anything like this. And this was suspensions that we've had so far in this recent wave have been around the essential right of constituency Labour parties to determine their own agendas and to discuss democratically issues that they wish to discuss. And we were founded as a Labour Party to be the democratic voice of working people. So therefore, we are socialists, and part of socialism is about adherence to democracy. If we undermine democracy within the party, we undermine any prospect of socialism. Now, what's the reaction now? I just say this, I've had a number of people who've text me, WhatsApp me, email me, etc., saying they're leaving the party or they've left the party in protest. That's exactly what the right want you to do. That's exactly it. So it's self-harm. It's self-harm. It's a bit like, it's a bit like allowing them to force us out of our own party. This is our party. This is our party. It's people like us over the years, rank and file socialists who created the party, have campaigned for it, have made sure that at times we've been elected as well. So it's completely the wrong thing to do to leave the party. And also on some elements of social media as well, don't underestimate that there are some encouraging people to leave the party on the basis of either recruiting for something else, but also on the basis of trying to divide the left. And don't underestimate the fact that there's agents provocateurs out there urging people to leave because they want us to damage the left within the party. The right response is exactly as I've been hearing from some of your speakers. One is to stay in the party. That's the first thing. The second is to organise, to defend anyone who's threatened with suspension or has been suspended, and worse. One of the ways of doing that is to make sure we provide now all of the members who have been suspended in some form with proper advice and support. And I know that Liz Davis, who Crispin, is one of the lawyers that we've worked with over the years, working with Momentum. They'll be launching a support and advice service to people who've been suspended so that we can support people, making sure that we challenge the suspensions and win. That's the most important thing in any hearings or representations. The second element is that we protest as loudly as we possibly can in every forum of the party that we can, and including our trade unions too. And there'll be further statements. I don't want to divulge confidentialities, but there'll be further statements from unions and others coming out in the short period in the future around all of that, so that we mobilize mass support in the party against what is clearly becoming, what many have said tonight, a purge. And on top of that, I think I want to take up exactly what Mark has said. Some elements in the party want us to just disappear so that they can dominate constituency Labour parties and the party overall. Change candidates, change policies, all the rest. I think Mark has got it exactly right. What we do is we don't disappear, we turn up. And we turn up and we contest every election for every position within the party. And we make sure that in selecting candidates and in making sure that we elect constituency party officers, that we have the majority say in the development of our party. It's as simple as that. And I know that is tough and it means hard work, but that's, to be frank, that's what we had to do and have had to do over the years. I've been in the party over 40 odd years, longer actually. And there's been tough times where you've had to fight back in that way. We've not had a purge in the recent period, but there was a few decades ago. And what happened was the left regrouped, organized, came back, and eventually in many constituencies, we won positions and were able to have an element of political dominance and control. We've got to do exactly that. But don't give in to our opponents. Do not fall for it. They're trying to demoralize the left and urge people to leave. That's the last thing we want. We need a concerted fight back, and that's what we're doing. I'll finish on this as well. Can I just ask you a question, John? It's about the unity of the party. I mean, the Labour can't win a general election if it purges the left, can it? No party has ever won an election when they're divided. Full stop. And people know that. This isn't going to work. It's like, so all those people who may have voted for Keir Starmer will soon realise that he can't win an election if he purges us, surely. Yeah. There is an irrationality about what's going on because, first of all, no divided party wins elections. So that's the first thing. And secondly, under our political system, the only way Labour gets into power is when there's a mass ranked campaign on the ground to convince people of the rightness of our policies, and yes, also organisationally to get the vote out. So at the moment, those people who are urging that people get suspended, expelled, or whatever, actually are undermining the very chance of Labour getting back into government. So that's why it's important, I think, for the future of the party, we don't just protect people who've been suspended and make sure we get them the suspensions lifted, but also for the future of the party, we actually start holding position, winning positions, and from the left, we unite the party. I want to finish on this, Crispin, if I can. There's been some attacks on the Socialist Campaign Group and social media I've seen, which again, I find bizarre, about why haven't the Socialist Campaign Group resigned the whip and all the rest. One, because Jeremy does not want Socialist Campaign Group members to resign the whip. That's ridiculous because we're giving over to those opponents of ours within the party a huge victory. The second thing as well is actually, if you look at the Socialist Campaign Group, particularly with regard to the young new members that have come in, we're building for the future. And I take McDonnell's point, which is what we've got to do now is ensure that in the next round of selections, etc., we are in the party so that we can select candidates that will stand up for rank and file democracy of the party. It's about organisation. It always has been. I'll leave it at that, Crispin. This is a dark period, but I tell you the other thing as well. It might be dark, but there's a depth of anger out there now amongst party members that is forcing people now to also start mobilising again. So from this, it might be dark at the moment, but from this, I think something fundamentally important will emerge, which is a mass mobilization of the left for democracy within our party. And I think we can win that. And if we can achieve that in this coming period, it will mean, I believe, we'll be that much stronger in the future. And we'll also have a stronger Labour Party overall, because we can unite from the left on both organisationally and on policy as well. I still maintain the view that the Labour Party is the only viable vehicle for advancing socialism in this country. In a first past the post system, we've seen every other split away be destroyed in a limited period of time. So therefore, the fight has to be within the Labour Party. And we've got the numbers, we've got the strength, we've got the ability, we've got the skills and experience to do that. We just have to be determined and, yeah, courageous as well. And I've listened to a number of your speakers, and they've demonstrated the courage I think that we need for the future. I'll leave it there, Crispin, if I can.
Thank you very much for coming on, John. Have a good night. Now I wanted to speak to Steve from Skwarkbox, who's doing lots on this. Steve, are you there?
I am.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming on. Now, you're keeping up to date with all these CLPs, suspensions and motions and stuff like that. What do you think the scale of the resistance to this purge is?
Well, I wish I was keeping up to date with them, because then it would mean there wasn't quite so many happening. I mean, I'm keeping up with as many as I can, but I get flooded with far more notifications of things going on than I can ever possibly kind of find time to write about. So, the scale of it is pretty huge. John mentioned, he said we didn't even have purges and kind of suspensions on the scale of this, under the kind of attacks on militant and all the other things that were going on in the worst of days before. But I think that the right of the party's never had the fright that it's had previously, and the speed and ruthlessness and shamelessness with which they've attacked now reflects how terrified they were at the fact that the left came within an ace of a win in 2017, and they had to stoop to ridiculous lengths to undermine us and stop us from winning in 2019. Obviously, the massive rewriting the history is going on at the moment, but the fact of the matter is, they will stop at nothing, because as far as they're concerned, it's they're fighting for their political existence, and they whether it's a seat on the gravy train or whatever else it is that they're hoping to cling on to. I don't think it's ideological. I think it's just it's cynical and opportunist, but they're determined that they're never going to allow such a thing to happen again. And that's the big question that we face at the minute: is how do we, I think it's, in some ways they've galvanized everybody and re-energized everybody to realize we're in a fight for our lives as well. So therefore, we've got to roll our sleeves up and get on with it. But there is a lot of divided opinion on how we do that. There's a lot of uncertainty about what's the best routes to do it, and we need clarity. We need a plan from wherever that comes. We need leadership to to get everybody pulling in the right direction, because otherwise we just end up everybody flying off in the direction that they think's best and meaning well, but dissipating the energy that's building up at the moment instead of focusing it. And focusing it is how we'll actually damage our enemies, and I will use that word, and push them back. I think they are a bit scattered at the minute, because they do worry that some of the tactics that they used in order to undermine the party previously, they have overplayed their hand. They do look ridiculous. They're prepared to look ridiculous, but they don't want to, kind of neutralize their armory such as it is. And they worry that they've done that, I think, at the moment. So that's why we're seeing really kind of, they're stooping to silly lengths on social media, for example, to try to get left-wing accounts suspended for silly things like, tweeting your own email address. And they're reporting that as you know,
so they're sort of
of
censoring the left wing on the media as much.
They're
as
doing their best to shut it down everywhere, yeah. But you know, more worryingly than silly tactics like that, they are obviously coordinating with the big social media platforms, with Twitter and with Facebook, to clamp down more. You know, Facebook's facing its own pressures around the globe, and probably Twitter is as well. But you know, Facebook even, you know, kind of essentially admitted that they were targeting left-wing pages more than right-wing pages, because they were worried about the right-wing pages claiming they were being disfavored or whatever. And you know, so there is a constant, you know, you get the constant arms race going on of trying to figure out better ways to reach people with the information that they need, and the social media platforms trying to figure out better ways to shut them down, and you know, the opponents of the left doing their best to trigger the Pavlovian responses of the social media platforms to get them to react, and even if it's only temporarily, shut people down so that they can hamper our style.
Can I just ask you, I'm aware of the time, just thinking, do you think that they don't actually want to win the general election, that they're looking at a bigger picture of taking over the party? Because it doesn't look like you can, like John, I was saying to John, he was agreeing, you can't win a general election if you don't have half of the...
Yeah, I honestly don't think they care. I'm in two minds between, you know, that one part of me thinks that they don't care and they'll happily lose power for the next decade if they can see off the left forever. Obviously, it would be more, you know, the other part of me thinks that there might be a little bit of backroom chat going on somewhere that will allow them to, you know, oh, well, let's give Labour a turn now, even though they're terrible. And we'll step aside and give them an easy ride for a bit. And you know, if they win the next election, then that helps see off the left, because that validates the stupid idea that, you know, not standing for anything is more attractive electorally than actually having something about you. So, you know, in different days I have, you know, different parts of that opinion will be holding sway over the other.
It's a gamble. It's a gamble.
Yeah, they don't care if they're going to win, but they might negotiate a win with the kind of political establishment in order to, you know, what, as they would see it, drag the final nail into the coffin of the left.
But it's a bit deluded to think that if you have the Westminster bubble with you, then you'll win the North back. I mean, that isn't quite how elections work. You might have all the lobbyists around Westminster in support of Starmer, but that doesn't mean that they can win back Lee or you know, or Cumbria or the Northeast. You know, it's like it's a joke. It's like they're deluded. I mean, I think personally, it's so dangerous to allow them to take over the party that we have to fight. Otherwise, they will kill the Labour Party, because they'll kill all the local CLPs.
I mean, I have every sympathy with people who want to, you know, think that Labour is a dead horse now, and they might as well, you know, try and start a new movement. But again, the issue is that, you know, a new movement will divide the left vote, and some will be fooled into continuing to vote for the right-wing Labour Party because it's Labour, and you know, and that will gift it to the Tories. But I think, you know, as far as I can tell at the moment, Starmer's approach to the, you know, to leadership is, let's not offend anybody as much as we can, you know, apart from the left. We don't care about them. But let's, you know, in terms of how the public sees it, let's not say anything that they can object to. And at some point, the media will give us a bit of you know, an easy ride. And the people who vote but only get their news from half an hour at 6 o'clock when they get in from work or whatever, will be fooled by the media narrative, and therefore they might vote for us. It's not going to work. It's not going to get them anywhere. It's certainly not going to get them, you know, with the change in the constituencies that's just gone through. It's not going to get them the kind of swing that they need. But they haven't got a vision, so they've got to fall back on, you know, managerialism and, you know, manoeuvres to try to put themselves in the least damaging position that they can. But, you know, at bottom, I don't think they care. You know, as long as they can see off the left, I honestly don't think they care if they get into government for the next 20 years.
Well, that's just...
Which is ironic, because that's what they spent all the time accusing the left of. But it was obvious, it was always clear that they were happy to sacrifice electoral success for the sake of winning a factional fight.
Ideological purity of being moderate, yeah, the moderate ideological purity, right?
Or lack of it, yes.
look, I'd just like to say thank you for coming on, and I'd like to urge everyone to follow Skwarkbox, because the number of stories that you're coming out with about what's happening is incredible, and also please forward your stories to Steve if you have any. Let him know what's going on in your CLP, or if there's any stories you have, because he's got a massive platform to build and get these things out on. So thank you, Steve, for coming on. And right now we're doing something different tonight with Rob. Apparently he can actually perform live without playing his track, without me sharing the track. Is that right? Rob?
Possibly, yeah. It's easier if it's a song that I know, but this is a song I've just written during the program, so I'll still have to read it out.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you've just written a song right now.
Yeah. Listening. Well, I thought I wanted to do something in response.
Okay. Well, has it got any swearing in it?
You'll be allowed to know. No, it hasn't.
Oh, I don't mind if it has.
Yes. Yeah. No. Okay.
Yeah. I'm interested to hear how this works.
Me too.
I'll mute myself.
It's not about us. It's about the food banks. It's not about us. It's about the Palestinians. It's not about us. Phoning the Samaritans so we don't climb down, and we don't shut up, because it's not about us. It's not about us. It's about the homeless. It's not about us. It's about democracy. It's not about us. It's about solidarity, so we don't climb down, and we don't shut up, 'cause it's not about us. And it's not about you, an unelected bureaucrat, but the match girls and the miners, the hands that built the NHS. It's not about us. It's about our children's children, so we don't climb down, and we don't shut up. No, we don't climb down, and we don't shut up, because it's not about us.
I can't believe you wrote that in during the show.
Yeah.
And it felt like it was perfect. And it made me think we can't give up as well. So it did give me that spirit that you projected from the song. And it worked as well with your guitar. How does that happen that it doesn't break up?
I've got a nice microphone, and I've also there's a new feature on Zoom called Original Sound, which means that it just takes all the sound that's there, and it doesn't try to suppress the guitar, because the Zoom was set up for a conference call, so it thinks the guitar is an unnecessary a nuisance factor. But if you hit a little button called Enable Original Sound, then it acts like a proper microphone.
All right. So now, Alison, let me get Alison in again, because we had a rather sort of uncomfortable exchange earlier. Alison, This is my turn to turn it round on you now. I'm going to talk to you without you knowing I'm going to do it. Alison, so you won't need to send me any more downloads of Rob.
But you'll have to send me the videos so that I can put them on Rob's social media.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because now I've got the recording. Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, is that a wine you're drinking? What?
It is. Yeah, it's a wine Susie recommended as well. Thank you, Susie.
Okay, Susie. There you go. Do you want to?
Yeah, it's from Asda. Believe it or not.
It was. Thank you.
Right, now what we're going to do now is we always end up with me not having the lyrics for the red flag. But Rob, you can do a good red flag, can't you?
A red flag, yep.
And you've got a guitar.
Oh, I could do the yeah.
And let me get Alan on, because Alan is the star of the show today.
I'm not singing.
But Alan, this is it. This is for you. You don't need to sing along. This is for you. Thank you for coming on. I hope you feel the solidarity from the room and
feeling the love, mate. Feeling the love.
and we all know that we're going to get where you are at some point, but we'll all fight. We'll all fight back and get back in. And get you back in. So thank you for coming on, and I'll leave it to Rob to do the red flag.
The people's flag is deepest red. It's shrouded oft our martyred dead, and ere their limbs grew stiff and cold, their heart's blood dyed its every fold. So raise the scarlet standard high, within its shade we live or die. Though cowards flinch and traitors sneer, we keep the red flag flying here. It waved above our infant might, when all ahead seemed dark as night. It's witnessed many a deed and vow, we shall not change its colour now. So raise the scarlet standard high, beneath its shades we live and die. Though cowards flinch and traitors sneer, we keep the red flag flying here. And it well recalls our triumphs past, and gives us hope of peace at last. The symbol bright, the banner plain, of human rights and humanity's gain. So we raise the scarlet standard high, beneath its shades we live and die. Though cowards flinch and traitors sneer, we keep the red flag flying.